Hey guys, I know you guys don't really know too much about me. I just want to start off with my name is Roxanne, and this is the YouTube channel Roxanne's Recommendations. If you like what you see, please sure to subscribe. I'll be doing weekly content every week talking about comic books. And this week, I want to talk about the top 10 comics of 2020. This list is specifically my list. Keep that in mind. I know some of the people are going to be like, no, this should have been on the list. But this is my list, and I'm going to give specific reasonings on why I believe these comics should be in my top 10. I also have a couple of rules for my top 10 list. I do this every year, and it must have at least 3 issues released in the year 2020. It must be comparing the issues of only 2020, not prior years. So for example, I really enjoyed Immortal Hulk last year, but this year I don't feel like the issues were strong enough to make my top 10. I do feel like the year prior was definitely a better year for Immortal Hulk, so it would not be making my top 10. And it must be considered an ongoing, meaning having more than one collected trade paperback. That trade paperback does not need to come out this year, but it needs to have more than one of those. I also will have a top 5 miniseries and a top 5 most impactful comics of the year, including best event and best one-shot. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Okay, starting at number 10. Gonna be Once and Future. It's written by the amazing Kieran Gillen, who did like Wicked Divine, and done by art of Dan Mora, who is known for doing Power Rangers. This team is unstoppable in my eyes. I believe that both Kieran Gillen and Dan Mora are at the top of their A game at this moment, especially with this book. Boom is probably the independent company of the year 2020 in my eyes. They have just put out so many heavy hitters this year. It's very tough to narrow my list not into just a bunch of Boom comics. So I definitely have to spread it out a little bit. But definitely everything Boom has come out with this year, I've enjoyed pretty much. So Once and Future is based off of Arthurian fantasy lore with Bridget, the grandmother, and Duncan, the grandson. They are off on adventures to defeat legendary threats. And if like King Arthur is not your business, you don't really enjoy him, this comic might not be for you, but I do highly recommend just checking it out, just to see if you do really like it, because the writing and art is pretty great. I know at times I'm just looking at pages just astonished. I do have to really give it up to the colorist too. Fantastic. Every time I turn the page, it's like a brand new fantasy, bright colors. It's really fun to look at, and I look forward to this comic every single time it comes out. In my number 9th spot is going to be Philadelphia. And every time this comic comes out, I'm always like, Philadelphia. It's a Always Sunny in Philadelphia joke. But I really enjoyed this comic this year. Written by Rodney Barnes and drawn by Jason Shawn Alexander. Jason Shawn Alexander actually did Spawn for a great while, and he now moved on to a more creative own, which I really enjoy, because this comic, let me tell you, the art is so terrifying and so fun. I really enjoy it. Every time there's a vampire comic, I have to check it out. And most of the time, vampire comics, they lose my interest after a while because they all become very similar and they become the same. But Philadelphia definitely kept my interest this entire year. It intertwines history with vampiric lore, and that just makes it so interesting to me, having past presidents being involved in like why these vampires are here. And there's so many times where I'm just looking at the panels and I have to just stop reading just so I can see all the hidden vampires in the background. You may just see like eyes and they're hanging upside down. It's really creepy and really fun to read, and just every time I think it's gonna like stop and get boring, it just picks up better and better every arc. So I highly recommend this comic as well as all the other comics on my top 10. Okay, coming in at number 8 is gonna be Strange Academy. Now, I know I might be a little biased because I do really enjoy Scotty Young, whether it's his baby Marvel covers or his writing. So he's going to be on my list multiple times. So the Strange Academy, though, I just really feel like it belongs on my list. It was a big hitter of this year. It sold so many copies. The #1 hit a 5th printing and still sold out. The beautiful Humberto Ramos does these amazing covers, and it's so fun to read every single time. It's pretty much known these unknown teen magicians get paired with these famous Marvel sorcerers as their teachers, and there's so much humor throughout the entire comic between them. The dynamic between the teachers and the students is just so fun to read to me. And I think the best part about this comic is that it's an all ages comic. It is meant for everyone, not just young kids, not just old, mature people, but it is meant for every single person. So anybody that comes into my store, I always tell them, look, check out Strange Academy. If you don't like it, if it's not for you, I get it, I understand, but just give it a chance. I do believe it is a newer comic, and it's gonna develop into something way grander of a scheme. So I'm very excited to see where this comic goes, and I can't wait to pick up all I pick up 2 covers. I get the regular cover by Humberto Ramos, and I always get the Art Adams character covers. I think that's going to be a really great set, just having all those character covers. So I definitely believe that Strange Academy deserves a spot on my coming in at #7. This one is gonna be probably controversial, but this is the DC comic that really struck to me. So Red Hood is #7 in my place, or Red Hood Outlaw, whatever you want to call it. It was Red Hood and Outlaw at the beginning of the year, Red Hood Outlaw at the middle of the year, now it's just Red Hood. So this is the end of Scott Lobdell's emotional run. I have been reading this comic since 2011. So and it's never made my top 10. I feel like I owe it to them that it's in my top 10. Especially because this year has been such a great run. It includes a team that's filled with tons of heart, with Bizarro, Artemis, and Pup Pup, and including Red Hood. And every time they are a team, it is just so magical and so fun. And I think this comic definitely deserves more praise, because it's always trying to maintain like a solo story, but it's always brought into intertwine with the mainstream DC, whether it be with like events or, you know, and the writer writes it so well that you don't even realize like this was meant for an event. It's still the story we're reading. And I really enjoy that. There's nothing worse than a comic that's just put out of place. So having this run end this year and the way it ended, it was very emotional for me. And that's why I think it deserves a spot on my #7. Coming in at #6 is a surprise for me, because I never thought this would be in my top 10 if you would have asked me last year. But this is TMNT, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. It's definitely my most surprising book of 2020. Was not expecting that. I was very excited to see the new creative team, Sophie Campbell as the writer and artist. I'm a sucker for people that are writer and artists. I think that's just so talented that they could do both, like Daniel Warren Johnson and Jeff Lemire. They're some of my favorite people. So I had to check out this comic. I was very interested in that. And it takes TMNT to a place I never imagined it would. With this mutant town and the Shredder gang, there's really never a dull moment in it. And the way it reads like a really, truly, you're delved into this family or the Shredder gang, and I'm constantly wondering, like, will Donnie get a girlfriend? What's gonna happen to Lydia? You know, you just get invested kind of like a soap opera into this comic, and I'm not a huge TMNT fan myself, so I treaded lightly on this book. I was not expecting it to be the hit that it was, and now every time this comic comes out, I'm like, I think it needs to go higher in my top 10, because I'm just constantly shocked, and they're constantly improving themselves with this comic. I cannot wait for TMNT #113. That comic is going to be hot. Just watch. Next year, that comic is going to be the comic to look for. And with the amazing sales of TMNT Last Ronin as well, TMNT's on fire, and I am all in for it. I will continue reading this run until it stops. So I'm hopped on the TMNT train. I'll probably update another video on Monday doing 5 through 1, and then another video probably on, ooh, not Friday because that's Christmas, probably on Saturday or Sunday, and that will be talking about the mini-series, the best event, and best one-shot, as well as some of the most impactful comics of the year, and I hope to see you there. Thank you.